Welcome to Frances Quilts, the site dedicated to the wonderful art of quilting, with a few other fun things thrown in as well. If you like what you see here, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can be notified of future videos. Hey guys, welcome back to Frances Quilts. Today we are on week 4 of 12 ways to quilt a Sawtooth star block. And I don't know about you, but I am having a blast trying out these different patterns. Every night I sit with my iPad and draw pattern after pattern and design after design, and I keep trying to come up with new ones to do. And now every time I look at a quilt or in a magazine or anything like that, I'm seeing all the quilting designs. So we have a few more to go, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, as I always say, before you start this video, I would encourage you to go back and listen to the introductory video that will just give you some more information about other ways that you can be involved in this challenge. You can check that out at my website, which is francesquilts.com. And when you get to that page, look up at the top and there's a challenges tab, and under that there's a 12 ways to quilt a Sawtooth star. And that will take you to the introduction and the other videos up until now, and just any resources that you might need will be there as well. Today we are going to go back to doing some curves. This time we're going to do some arcs. Basically, I took the block and I divided it into a lot of different triangles. And then each one of those triangles, I made an arc from point to point to point. And then the next one, point to point to point. And just kept going until every bit of that block was quilted with those arcs. It actually came together very, very quickly, which surprised me. I thought it was going to take some time, but it worked very well. And let's go to the drawing board. Well, let's have a look at the block for today. I think we're going to do a lot of arcs today. We had a few of them 2 weeks ago, and I think they looked good. And personally, I want to have a little more practice at doing them freehand and not using a ruler for them. So today there's going to be lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of arcs. So let's have a look at what this might look like. The first thing that I'm going to do with this block is to draw some registration lines, again with my water-soluble pen. And I'm going to have a registration line going across here and down here. And then I'm also going to have one that goes corner to corner here and corner to corner here. Now, if you see, what we have essentially done is to divide this entire block into a series of triangles. So we have the triangle here, we have the triangle here. When we come in here, we have a triangle here and another one here. So we have, 8 triangles in the center, and then 2 triangles in each of the corners. And when we make these arcs, we're just going to start at one of the points, and we're going to draw an arc from one point to the other. Remember what I said when we did these last time, that the arc is not as important as hitting the point. So I'm not going to worry if it gets a little wiggly or something in through here. The main thing I want to do is start at this point and end at this point. And what I also need to remember is when I get to these, I'm going to come in here, and I'm not going to do arcs here. I'm going to do those little butterfly shapes that we've been doing previously. Now, I have practiced and drawn this design, trying to figure out how I can do it without having any thread breaks. And I know it can be done, but I'm not sure how. So I'm not going to worry about it at this point. I'm just going to pick a point. I'm going to start working. If I have to break thread and start somewhere else, I'm happy to do that. If I get myself stuck in a position, I may just backtrack over those stitches and just echo over those stitches again, and then find another place to start. Bottom line is, it's not going to matter. So when I get ready to do this, the thing I want to remember about all of these triangles is they're all going to be quilted in the same manner. Maybe not in the same order every time, but in the same manner. So if I started here in the center, I might do this one, and then this one over here, and then come back over here and finish this triangle. And then if I wanted to, I can come back to here and over to here and back down. And you see, I just keep going around, same thing, quilt down. Now when I get here, I might want to come out here and do these 3. But look what happens when I do that. It puts me down here when I need to be back up here. but that's okay. Maybe I just just stitch over this line a second time and get back to my starting point. When I get here, I may want to come out here and do the same thing and do those 2 blocks. But remember, at some point when I'm here, I also need to come in and do my dot to dot designs inside here. Lots of remembering we have to do. So however I do it, I get back here, come back up here, and keep going. So we're just going to be going around those lines. At some point, I'm also going to want to stitch these lines. So maybe when I get back up here, I want to come down here and do these. You see what I mean? There's just so many different ways to stitch this that I don't think I'm going to worry about it. What order I do them in, I'm just going to start stitching. If I have to backtrack, I will. If I have to break thread, I will. But I think it should be pretty easy. Again, most of them are shorter lines. There's not a whole lot of really long stretches for you to do. I guess probably this stretch in here, whoops, that didn't do well, but that stretch in there is probably the longest one. So let's just go to the machine and start stitching and see how we go. Before we start quilting, let's answer a couple of questions that have come in. Somebody asked me about you doing this kind of work on a smaller throated machine. Obviously, I have a lot of room here. Most machines you're not going to have that much. You're going to have maybe this much room to work in. It's the same thing because we are doing 1 block at a time. So this is the biggest area that you are going to be working on at any single time. And so it is fairly easy to do it. If you have bunches of fabric over here or under there, just scrunch it up, puddle it up around there, and just work from there. The other question that I've been asked is about using the ruler foot. And yes, I use the ruler foot all the time for my free motion quilting now. I didn't used to do it that way, and I always said, oh, I hated that, and I never do it because I can't see it well enough. But I really like the convenience of being able to switch from free motion quilting to ruler quilting without having to stop and change the foot. So I have just made myself get used to using the ruler foot. And honestly, at this machine, I sit up high enough that I can kind of see down into that foot. So I can see where my needle actually is. So being able to see hasn't been too much of a problem. As you can see, I have marked all of my lines and I'm ready to start quilting. Again, I'm just going to start and we will see where it takes us. That first arc is a long one. While I'm here, I think I'll run up here. Now, as you see, I've quilted myself in a corner, so I'm just going to stitch along that line and back up here. And you can see I just quilted that long straight line without the use of a ruler. It can be done. You will notice that I slowed down considerable amount when I did that, just to make sure that I could stay on the line. So we're back here. Let me clip this out of the way, and then let's keep going. While I'm here, let's do our dot to dots in these triangles. Whoops. See what happened? I just didn't, I was pulling on my fabric. I don't have it up enough. And so when I stopped, it took this one great big stitch right there. So I'm going to take that out and I will be back. All right, that's a great example of what happens when you have something tugging on your quilt. Maybe it's going off of the edge of the table or something like that. And that's just an indication that you need to pull it back in so that it has lots of movement here, very easily will move. So we are back where we started, where we had mess up to begin with, and we will keep going. Now that I'm back down in this corner, I think I'll go ahead and do this one. You know what I'm finding with these? It's the faster the better. When I try to go slow, I tend to make mistakes and it bobbles and doesn't look as good. When I go faster, it's better. So now let's get this line. I'm going to come down here, and then without lifting up my ruler, I'm going to come straight back. So I shouldn't, if I don't move my ruler, those two lines should be in exactly the same spot. So let's start here and try this. Okay, I'm back to this center here, so let's quit talking and just sew. decision to make here. I have finished this entire intersection without doing any of these straight lines. I've done all the straight lines in the outer part, but not in the inner. So I wonder what it's going to look like if I just leave these inner ones as they are, just like they're petals without having that line running through them. I think I will just pull it out for right now, spray all the lines out, and see what I think. If I don't like how it looks, I'll put it back in and put the lines back in. All right, let's do a little deep dive on this block. As I mentioned, I did not sew these lines in through here, the registration lines, and I think I'm going to leave it that way. For one thing, I like the fact that it just has the big open puffy areas rather than having the lines through them. Also, and I'm sad about this, I use this print fabric in here, which means that you can't see the quilting as well. I should have stuck with some of the more solid or tone-on-tone fabrics, but I didn't have what I needed, and so I used what I had, but that's okay. But I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is. I think these look all right, where I have just done those freehand in the corners, and I am going to call it done. I'm pleased with it. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed seeing how that block came together, and particularly enjoyed watching the time that my thread got pulled and I had a stitch that was about that long. Those things happen, and we need to just stop and fix them when they do. I'll remind you that starting next week, we're going to do 2 blocks every week. So next Friday, I will have for you block number 5 and 6, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it, and I will see you then. Remember, if you like what you've seen, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please check out my website and daily blog at francisquilts.com, and I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Francis Quilts. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.